This is an iPhone 12 from a fan. He told us this is his first iPhone and take care of it very carefully. One day, he woke up and found out that his iPhone 12 could not work at all. So he went to Apple and the staff told him his iPhone 12 got wet somehow. Steam was in the iPhone, so the phone could not be launched. And the worst thing is if your iPhone got wet, you lose your warranty from Apple. And the fan said his iPhone never got wet. So in this circumstance, the fan sent us the iPhone to save the important data for him. We open up the phone and the water damage sticker is red. This suggests this iPhone do get wet. Then we tear down the logic board and we don't see any sign of water damage. We checked all the parts of his iPhone and except for the water damage sticker, the rest parts seem to be just fine at the moment. Because there's no obvious water damage on the logic board, we use a regulated voltage supply to try launching the iPhone, and the reset current is surprisingly 60 mA, while the normal reset current is about 10 mA. We continue with the working current test. The current goes to 60, 100, 200, and then come back and stable at 100 mA. And the iPhone still couldn't be launched. According to our experience, the 100 mA is the typical SSD not working current. Plus the unusual reset current, we have to check the logic board by portions. The adhesive of iPhone 12 logic boards are with high melting point tin, which is harder for us to take the two portions apart than low melting point tin as before. What we do is using a small knife to scrape the tin spots off, but we have to do it very carefully or we will damage the inside parts. Finally, we separate the upper and bottom portion of the logic board. Both parts seem to be very nice, no sign of water damage at all. And about how the water damage sticker gets red, we don't know. Now we start cleaning the tin spots. Because it's high melting point tin, we have to use the medium melting point tin to lower the melting point, then use the tin absorbing belt to clean the tin. After that, we test the current with upper logic board and the reset current is still 60 mA. According to our experience, it's the USB connection part broken. So we take apart the old USB part and test the data on board. No damage. So we change a new USB part onto it. Then we test the reset current again. Done. Back to normal. And test the launching current, but it still goes from 60 to 200, then back to 100 mA. In this case, we have to connect the iPhone to the computer to see if the iTunes can recognize the iPhone. Also, when testing the battery, there's no voltage at all, and we try activating the battery, still nothing happens. So we bring a new working back housing assembly and put the upper logic board on to test the connection with iTunes. And nothing happened. Usually, this suggests the damage of the SSD, plus the unusual current, the SSD is very likely to be dead. To confirm it, we have to take apart the SSD and clean the adhesive on the logic board. Then connect the logic board without the SSD, and yes, it's connected. The logic board without the SSD can be recognized by iTunes. We put the LCD back on and go to the next step. If we don't get it wrong, when flashing the iPhone without the SSD, the Apple logo will appear and also will the error code 4014. Here we can see Apple logo appears and the error code 4014 appears too. This can almost prove that the SSD is broken, but to be 100%, we get a working logic board and tearing down the working SSD for a test. We put the tin liquid on and put the working SSD onto the fan's iPhone. We tell our fan that if this test proves us right, it means he will lose all his important data. We connect the iPhone and flash it and sad news for a fan that everything's normal. The iPhone comes to the activation page, This confirms that his SSD is broken. Although we changed a new working SSD to this iPhone, it still cannot be activated because according to Apple's activation strategy, the SAM, Wi-Fi, and Bluetooth code are all bounded in the SSD. If we want them back, we have to read the old SSD's code and write it to the new SSD. This never changes, and unfortunately, there's no code writing machine for iPhone 12 yet. Now we have to put the broken SSD back and to see if we can do something else to save the data. Put the tin liquid and reassemble it. Running the flashing program, and the error code 9 comes out, which means the SSD is broken. At last, we adhesive the upper and bottom notch board portions together with the working SSD and tell the fan to bring it to Apple and tell them the logic board was repaired before and willing to pay money for activating it or a new device. Now there's no other way to fix this iPhone. After the communication, we clean the remaining tin and we put the two portions together. There's no IMEI number at this moment. We have to flash the iPhone. After the flashing, the IMEI is back. Usually now, the IMEI code and SM, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth code cannot match, so the phone cannot be activated. But out of curiosity, when the Wi-Fi page comes out, we connect the iPhone to the Wi-Fi and it goes to the activation page. And the page shows ID and password. Bummer, because according to the activation strategy, here it should be your iPhone cannot be activated. Is the Apple server wrong today? We contact the fan and put his ID and the password to activate the iPhone. For the first time, we failed, and we try again, and here comes the surprising thing. The iPhone is activated, and we skip all the rest settings. We successfully get into the system. Then we open the settings and check the IMEI and SSD and all the rest. Everything's fine. How does this happen? We're 100% sure that we changed another SSD to this iPhone. The old SSD is broken. So, does this mean the Apple has changed the activation strategy that the SM and Wi-Fi code are no longer bounded in the SSD?